you, yes you, I'm so happy that you have come back to the channel for another visit, and we're going to jump into Earthrise once again after taking a brief break to look at Cyberverse Clobber. But before we look at something new, I want to do an update to this guy. It is the Earthrise Optimus Prime, and I recently did the review comparing him to the Siege, and I said then that I didn't think that the coloration on the Earthrise was quite as accurate to the original G1 animation as the Siege one is. But I did say that Starscream Wife preferred the Earthrise one, and I have sort of learned to trust her instincts on which version of a character is the better version. As such, I looked at the Earthrise and thought to myself, what must I do in order to make this guy more animation accurate? So we're going to do a little bit of an update and go from truck to robot this time around when we update this guy, Optimus Prime, in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you're at it, man, that's right, hit that notification bell because it helps me out a ton. And it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel, from countdowns to stop motions to the live show on Thursday nights to reviews like these. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors NL, and the Autobot family. And have a look for me everywhere across social media. And this is Earthrise Optimus Prime, and he looks a little bit different than what he generally looks like fresh at a package. And he looks a little bit different than the last time we saw him right here. I have done some work on him, and I thought it was very interesting to show it and explain exactly what I did, because this time around with this line, unlike in previous lines, we have everything connected with pins, not screws, which means the idea of taking these guys apart to either replace pieces or to paint pieces becomes far more challenging, if not impossible. So is it still possible for us to get a G1 looking Optimus from the Earthrise mold? Absolutely, and I'll explain to you how I did it when we head over to the table and once again take a closer look at this guy. And so now, with the setup out of the way, you kind of know the scenario. We can take a look at Optimus in perhaps all of his glory. And when I say that, I mean like this might be the be-all end-all now for an Optimus for me, arguably. I went for kind of full-on animation accuracy as much as I could. Naturally, the stripe on the trailer has the blue on it rather than just a stark white. And it was brought up to me that, hey, around the cab we still have the silver lines. That, ideally, to be animation accurate, should be removed. But there's a reason that it's there. Starscream Wife brought up a fairly logical reason. I also wanted to start out in truck mode because I mentioned when we looked at this guy compared to the Siege one very recently that you could use this trailer with it, and I showed two ways to kind of do it. One involved kind of flipping the toes up, and the other involved basically using the axe of Siege Optimus, plugging it into the hole, and then kind of using that. Well, now I've actually built a trailer hitch, so it rolls on the trailer hitch, which you can sort of see down here. This turns and it stays fine, really. So I'm going to start things off, because we've already looked at everything to do with the trailer. I'm going to start things off with the trailer hitch first, and then we'll see what I did custom-wise here with Optimus's cab himself. The scores really aren't going to change except for maybe the color one. Functionality, transformation, they're the same as they were when we done the comparison. And so here we are, and this is a weird little piece, I know. Some people have used like a building block piece and put I guess a little piece on either end and made a trailer hitch that way. What I did is I took two of the Power of the Prime's hands, and I took those little filler pieces out of the back of those hands, and I glued them together with some like super glued type of stuff. You could use Gorilla Glue or Crazy Glue or whatever, some strong adhesive. Then I also built around it with some Bondic, and I encapsulated it with electrical tape, black electrical tape. I built on to the two pegs with Bondic, and This one I had to sand down. This is the one that goes into Optimus's trailer. The other one slots up into, or sorry, this one goes down to Optimus's cab. The other one slots up into the trailer. In the cab, it looks like this. It just slots into the hole. In the trailer, it fits up here. And honestly, it works quite nicely and is very secure. Are there cleaner, better ways to do a trailer hitch? Maybe, but is this functional? Yes. And because at first it was just clear, but because I did it with black after, and even kind of colored in silver on the hitches and then done the whole thing over with a clear coat, it actually kind of ties in pretty nicely when the trailer is on him, since the undercarriage of the second chance repair station is black anyway. I also finished coloring in the hubcaps or wheel wells, if you will, on the, not the wheel wells, the hubcaps or the rims, if you will, on the second chance trailer to try and make them match this guy's wheels a little closer. Speaking of wheels, and that's where our little customizing journey will begin. If you look at the wheels now, anyone who knows this mold will know that the front tires were, I'm gonna say, like gray plastic with a little bit of a black paint wash almost over it. It was not a deep dark black. The black tires on the back are painted silver. So you had two different type of tires, two different types of plastic. I found it jarring. So what I did is I painted the rim silver to match at least silver on the back rims, because they're not the same tire, but at least silver matches silver if nothing else. I also painted around the edge of the front tires black to be a deeper shade of black to match the back tires. I like the way it turned out. Is it perfect? No, because the tires on the front are still different. I don't know why they just didn't use the same tires for all 6 tires. That baffles me, but hey, whatever. Visible in this mode as well is up here on the shoulders. I have done those in a red. It's actually a deep burgundy that I mixed with a little bit of a bright red. It was a matte deep burgundy by Deco Art, Americana Deco Art. And the bright red was a gloss Craftsmart bright red. And I mixed those two together to give me this shade. And I painted in there and I clear coated it. I've never done clear coating before. This was my first go at clear coating, and I had a Tester's spray clear coat. Taped it off, sprayed it. Even after the fact, if I had a little bit of overspray, I just wiped it off. It was a very clean process, actually. And you can also see in the truck mode that we have done the gray pieces blue as well. You may notice that we've left the silver stripe at this point. We've also left the silver back here on the lower legs. And some might say, hey, for animation accuracy, both the silver on the legs and the stripes should be gone. But like I said, there's a reason that I kept it, and we'll see it in robot mode. For now, that's kind of everything in truck mode. So we're going to very quickly, I guess, go through the conversion, because why not? I've shown it going from robot to vehicle. Since we have the opportunity with this update, I might as well quickly show it going the other way. I'm not focusing on it. I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I just want to kind of have it documented here on the channel for you guys. So we can begin by, of course, as many people know by now, removing his blaster from the back and folding that down. We can pick off the front tires and pick out that flap on either side, and pick out this flap on either side. And that has all of Optimus's flaps out. I know that that sounds inappropriate, but it's really not. We can stand the guy up and open out his toes and open out his heels, and we can split his legs and stand him up. I'm going to reposition things ever so slightly just so we can continue on easy with this. There we go. I think that's a little better. We're going to take this kneecap and bring it down, this kneecap and bring it down. If you haven't done so already, push his gas tanks, I guess, his fuel tanks back into his thighs. Mine tend to get pushed in very easily. A lot of times I even forget to pull them out, but nevertheless, push them back into the thighs. We can take the arms and open them out to the side and bring them out and down, bring them out and down. We can furthermore take the chest piece up like that. We can push out the head and open up the back, and hopefully we can flip the head out. It does like to get stuck now and then. There we go. Get the head out, close up the back, fold in those chest pieces, fold in the other chest pieces, detach right there and fold this up under, detach the body, fold out the red pieces that were folded back, fold in the grill, bring it down into position. We can rotate the body around. I have learned that if you don't like the bumper on the back, you can just pick it off. It's just slide it in over a pin. You can pick it off the pin if you don't want to flip it up and do this. If you pick it off the pin, it'll be cleaner because you don't have the bumper kind of sticking out here on the sides. As well, it gives a full waist rotation, but I don't think I would want to kind of take it off the pin and put it back on the pin too often, because I would be fearful of stressing the plastic, personally speaking. Now that we have that done, we can bring these shoulders out to the side. We can open up the hands, or I guess the arms, bring out the hand, and of course open up the arm and bring out the hand. And boom, we have him in his robot mode. Let's start talking about what has been done to him in terms of custom paint applications. Now, before anyone says anything, a lot of people have talked about switching out parts with the Siege Optimus, either leg parts or the head part. Now, that would be challenging because there's pins used this time, not screws. And the blues are different blues. I don't think it would exactly work. So starting with the legs here on the bottom. The blue that was used to paint the kind of the back and the inner side of the leg is a weird mix of a matte acrylic primary blue by Deco Art Americana mixed with a Craft Smart outdoor acrylic paint blue mixed with, get this, a Folk Art shiny acrylic blue that is called ultramarine blue. So I mixed all three of those together. I put it on the gray section, that's the inside and back of the leg, and then I clear coated it with a Tester's clear coat. It makes his leg look completely blue like it's supposed to. I'm happy with that. The next thing, actually before the next thing, you'll notice that I have the silver left out front. There's a reason for that. I did think about also painting that over or removing the silver. I haven't done it yet. It may happen, but I want input from you guys first. Moving up the body, we get to his pelvis next. And truthfully speaking, his pelvis was in pretty good condition anyway. The only thing that was missing was the kind of center yellow piece above the blue piece. That yellow piece right there. What I did is I painted that in. It was not the same yellow as the rest of the yellow in the other 4 locations on the hips. So I painted all 5 sections the same yellow. It was a mix of a yellow and a bright yellow, both gloss. I did not clear coat these. I don't need to with this gloss paint. Honestly, I've never had a problem with it scratching. I'm quite confident that it's going to be fine. So I did not bother with that. I love the silver kind of line just under his chest. I didn't do that. I just love it and I love mentioning it. As we move up the body, next we get to the pesky biceps that really bothered me because I did not at all like that they were a gunmetal gray. Some people have lamented that because there's pins used and not screws, You can't just disassemble the arm and change out that piece with the Siege Optimus, which uses the exact same piece in a red color. So I wanted to deal with it. And since I'm a guy who customizes and never ever takes characters apart to do the customs, I knew that there was a way I could attack this and have it be successful. So what did I do? I took as previously mentioned with the shoulders, I took a Deco Art Americana acrylic deep burgundy. I mixed it with a little bit of a Craft Smart gloss bright red, and I painted over not only the shoulders, but I painted the entire bicep with a very small brush, naturally. I painted down around the elbow section, and I kind of painted in behind the smokestack. And I learned that I could rotate the arm all the way around, no problem, no scratching. But when I bent the elbow, I was getting scratching, and I thought about just kind of removing the paint from that area. I even tried kind of shaving out a little bit of the plastic, sanding out a little bit of the plastic so it wasn't quite as tight of a tolerance around the elbow. None of that worked. I was still getting scraping. Enter, for the first time ever, me doing clear coating. So I got a spray clear coat because I have heard many times that a brush clear coat may smear the paint, and I didn't want that. I wanted the paint to be as clean as possible. Once the paint dried, I gave it about 24 hours. Then I did the clear coat on it and let that dry. The joints were stiff at first when I moved them, but they're fine. And the red that's on his arm now does not scrape. It is nice, it is clean, I like it. Also, you'll notice I don't have, or maybe you haven't noticed that, I don't have the silver off of his arm either. At least, not yet. And that brings us last to the head. I was happy that Optimus had blue eyes, but I absolutely was not happy with the blue up around the eyes. You see, the original G1 release had a silver faceplate and then blue around his yellow eyes, much like we saw in the original comics. But the cartoon had a silver faceplate as well as silver up around his eyes and blue eyes. That's what I wanted. So I took it upon myself to do just that, and of course, the only way to do it really is either to switch out the headpiece, or at least the front of the headpiece, but again, the blues aren't the same, so that's not really going to work if you want to use the Siege one on it, unless you're cool with blues that don't match. Or you can do what I did, which is paint it silver yourself. It's tricky, there's no doubt about it, but I did it with a mix of a toothpick and a very fine tip brush. When I say very fine tip, I mean like, see if I can get this in here, like very fine tip brush. I've even heard of people using, for example, like bristles from a toothbrush to do such exquisite detail paint. You gotta do you, man. You gotta do you. I personally was all set to remove the silver line on the forearm and on the legs until Starscream Wife said, hey, the silver not only pops, but where you have the odd choice that they made of using metallic blue for the hands and metallic blue on the back of the head and on the very lower pelvis, if you remove the silver, then it will look extra disjointed because that will be the only metallic paint really on him. The silver on the arms and legs ties in with the silver that's used kind of around his chest and on his grill to kind of bring the arms and legs and torso together, and it is another metallic kind of color shade so that the metallic blue doesn't kind of show off as a stark contrast to the rest of the character. I think she's right when she says that the silver sort of helps the metallic blue to blend in better. What do you guys think? Should I leave the silver on the lower legs? Should I leave the silver on the forearms, or should I go full animation accuracy and remove that silver? Do you think it actually helps to tie the metallic blue in better? At the end of the day, he is an excellent Optimus, and in fact, I think I may have actually met the apex of an Optimus Prime for me in my collection. I don't know if there's anything else that could be offered to entice me to ever get another Optimus Prime. I have his trailer with the blue. I have a version of Roller. I have Optimus really in his ideal colors with the Matrix, with his ion blaster, and even a version of his axe, though I could probably paint the axe orange. The axe, by the way, is the axe that came with Siege Optimus Prime. So you might be asking, before we get out of here, whatever became of the Earthrise trailer and the custom Siege Optimus? Well, one of the scraplets claimed both my custom Siege Optimus and that trailer. I said to him, hey man, I was going to sell that. And he said, too bad, it's mine now. And since he's one of the lads, I am glad that at least he is going to have a happy home with one of the scraplets. For me and my collection, this now is, I guess, going to be my Optimus. And unless somebody can come up with an idea of anything more that a G1 styled Optimus could offer, I don't know if I'll ever need another one. I hope I've covered everything in extensive detail in case you want to try doing your own custom for this guy. If you have any questions, obviously ask me. But for now, I love this lad, the way he has turned out. Let me know, as I said, about the silver. Should I keep it, or should it too go away? And here we are once again, and here is Optimus in a little more G1 glory, I think. It's funny, I really sort of used the back of the package as my indicator of what I wanted to do here. That's why I was able to come up with the idea of, you know what, his legs didn't look quite right or finished to me. I don't know why they just didn't use blue plastic instead of the gray, but luckily I was able to remedy that. Same with the tires. I don't understand why they used these tires that they did, but again, I could rectify it. The biggest challenge was definitely the forearms, because, not the forearms, the biceps, because it did on the side here keep scraping off, and that bothered me to no end. My first foray into using a clear coat seems to be successful. The yellow, I think, now pops a little brighter than it did, but it's fine the way that it was. The hardest thing of all of it to do, just because of the intricacy and detail involved, would be the silver up around his eye area. I like this guy a lot more. Now, I did pose to you guys the question of whether or not I should work to remove the silver stripe on the side there and the silver down on these vents. As I said, Starscream Wife believes that having the metallic silver here and here, as well as kind of on the torso of his body, brings the entire robot together, and it helps to bring the metallic blue of his hands, his pelvis, and his head together. Basically, all the metallics work in concert in unison. So I ask you guys, maybe I'll even put a poll up. Maybe I'll even put up a poll and see, what do you guys think? Should I leave the silver here and on the vents, like Starscream Wife suggests? Or should I go full hardcore G1 accuracy and get rid of them? I like how this guy looks now. I do think it's a little more G1 accurate, and honestly, considering he has a Matrix, considering he's inherited the axe from Siege Optimus Prime, considering he has his blaster and trailer, and because my trailer even has Roller, I don't know if there's anything else I could ever want from an Optimus. I might be Optimist out. We shall see as time goes on. Let me know what you think of this guy. Let me know what other sort of things you might do that perhaps I've missed. You know I love to hear from you guys. As always, I appreciate you dropping by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, there is a donate link. Of course, hit the subscribe button. That helps me out so very, very much. Don't forget, somehow, some way, each and every day, you do make a difference, and I look forward to the next time, man, that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, you guessed it, right here, inside the videos.